Hello, I'm Samantha Jolly. It is 4 o'clock and these are our top stories in Perth this afternoon. What was it? Perth rocked by a huge boom that rattled windows and buildings. The WA sporting world turns out to farewell footy legend John Todd at Optus Stadium. Niche Living hits out at the state government for cancelling its building registration. Jetstar faces a class action lawsuit that could involve hundreds of thousands of customers. And new laws introduced by the federal government to crack down on bad behaving politicians. Those stories soon, but first tonight, 7 News will take you inside a rehabilitation centre for perpetrators of domestic violence. It is a live-in centre where violent men are treated across 6 months. The perpetrators work as a group of 12, calling each other out on their behaviour.
Each participant describes their most recent violent offence, kind of breaks that down into emotions and feelings and looks at how they can develop those strategies in terms of taking alternative steps.
Breathing Space is the only rehabilitation centre of its kind in the country. In 7 News at 6 tonight, see the full exclusive report from Lucy Murray and hear from the perpetrators themselves. A 57-year-old man has died from injuries he suffered in an alleged assault at a home in Two Rocks earlier this month. Live to Nick Overall. And Nick, police have now launched a homicide investigation.
That's right, Sam. Police have confirmed the man died yesterday as a result of injuries he suffered on August 16th. It was on that day, just after 5 o'clock, officers discovered him lying in the driveway of a home on Whitfield Drive before he was rushed to Royal Perth Hospital. It's alleged he was attacked by a 33-year-old man known to him. Police say the man fled the scene in a grey Mazda hatchback. He was later found and arrested by police in Greenwood. The man was charged with grievous bodily harm and currently remains in custody while awaiting his next court date in October. Homicide detectives have taken over the investigation as a result of the victim's death. They're now calling for anyone who witnessed the attack to contact Crime Stoppers. Sam?
Nick, thank you. WA footy legend John Todd has been farewelled in a state memorial service at Optus Stadium. Todd was a gifted footballer, winning the WAFL Sandover medal at the age of just 17, the youngest ever. A knee injury ended his playing career and he went on to become one of footy's greatest ever coaches with 700 games and 6 waffle premierships.
My recollection of John Todd is just a very good, strong Australian person. And I really think that I'll always have pleasant memories of you, mate.
The John Todd Coaches Room, a function space between the coaches' boxes, was unveiled before the service. Budget airline Jetstar is facing a class action lawsuit and it could involve hundreds of thousands of passengers. The airline is accused of not refunding passengers when their flight was cancelled during the pandemic. Aviation editor Blake Johnson reports.
And the airline is being taken to the federal court as a result. This is a class action that Echo Law claims could affect hundreds of thousands of customers who were once owed hundreds of millions of dollars in refunds. If you had a Jetstar flight that was cancelled in COVID, you might recall the voucher process to use that credit once borders reopened. Echo Law claims instead of vouchers, the right thing to do was to return customers' money without delay. It also wants interest paid on that money. This is separate to a class action launched against Qantas last year for a similar reason. That class action remains ongoing. Jetstar telling 7 News we'll review the claims filed in the class action this morning. Last year, we removed expiry dates for COVID vouchers so they can be used indefinitely, and these vouchers are also multi-use.
What's stopping you from refunding the money just directly?
I don't expect all of you have run an airline to understand the complexity in an airline ticketing system.
Jetstar itself has been a bit slippery about the exact number of credits it issued and the exact value of them all. At any ordinary interest rate, this is a huge amount of money.
It has been quite the 24 hours for Australia's low-cost carrier, launching a sale at the same time as the federal court action. 375,000 sale fares available across all routes. So the airline's booking agents and its lawyers likely having a very busy day.
The family of a Perth man seriously injured in Bali is preparing to fly him home on a Mercy Mission medical flight. 30-year-old Clarkson carpenter Shane Ramsey crashed his scooter in Seminyak on Sunday morning and remains in a coma in a Balinese hospital. Without travel insurance, Mr Ramsey's family is appealing for donations to help fund the flight so he can be treated by neurosurgeons at Royal Perth Hospital. He is due to arrive tomorrow evening. Niche Living says the company is being thrown on the rubbish heap by the government's decision to cancel its building registration. The company is fighting to have the cancellation suspended while it seeks to have the decision overturned. The State Administrative Tribunal heard today the Niche Living Group has $44 million in property assets and $76 million in debts. Lawyers for the company questioned the figures but offered no evidence that Niche Living is solvent.
If their argument is that the costs have gone up, but at the end of the day they still signed on a lot more people than they could cope with.
The SAT was told Niche Living still had the support of its bank, the NAB. The hearing is continuing. Politicians who misbehave will have their pay docked and face tough sanctions under reforms introduced in Canberra today. As Ben Downey reports, this is a move to crack down on badly behaved politicians in federal parliament.
This crackdown will be conducted by the incoming Independent Parliamentary Standards Commission, a body with the aim of rooting out the toxic culture exposed within the Parliament in the wake of the Brittany Higgins saga. Under the law, parliamentarians are actually employed by their electorates instead of a traditional boss-employee relationship, so they can't be fired in a traditional sense. Instead, MPs displaying poor conduct can have their pay docked 5%, be stripped from prized roles on parliamentary committees and suspended from Parliament. There's a fairness process for those accused, but serious breaches will be referred to Parliament's Privileges Committee and then the Chamber floor, where MPs will vote on the sanction.
I actually think it's less about probably the fines and removal from certain positions. It's more that will be clear, it will be publicly known that that's what's happened, and I think that's a very significant deterrent.
In addition, Teal MPs are demanding an improvement to standards in question time, accusing specifically coalition MPs of condescending, aggressive and sometimes misogynistic remarks, saying since May 2022, parliamentarians have been kicked out for disorderly conduct 200 times, with 6 LNP members being booted out 10 or more times.
I've never seen the behaviour that I see, particularly in the chamber, in any other workplace in my entire life. The shouting, the mocking, the name-calling.
If passed, the new standards could be in place by October.
Barack Obama has channelled the success of his own run to the White House, given a raucous reception at day 2 of the Democratic Convention. He urged the party faithful to show Kamala Harris their support as she squares off against Donald Trump. US correspondent Tim Lester is in Chicago.
For Democrats, few names among their living legends carry more weight than Obama. Tonight, Kamala Harris enlisted the Obamas for a couple of giant primetime addresses. The 44th president, a leading speaker at every Democrat National Convention for the last 20 years. America's first black president, making the case for Americans to elect their first black woman president.
We will elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States, and Tim Walz as the next vice president of the United States.
When Kamala Harris seized the candidacy 1 month ago, at first the Obamas held back on endorsing her. Not tonight.
America's ready for a new chapter. America's ready for a better story. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
From former First Lady Michelle Obama.
This is our time to stand up for what we know in our hearts is right.
This after the man Americans know as the second gentleman made the case for the US electing his wife.
Wherever she's needed, however she's needed, Kamala rises to the occasion. And now that the country needs her, she's showing you what we already know. She's ready to lead.
Kamala Harris, campaigning tonight in nearby Milwaukee, will give the convention's closing address in 2 days' time.
The RSPCA is hoping to come up with answers today to a mystery unfolding in our southern suburbs after a local discovered a herd of dead cattle. She was driving out to feed her horses when she came across around 25 dead cows at a property on Orton Road in Oakford. RSPCA officers were immediately called. It's believed the owner of the property is currently away. The owner's son says the cattle contracted pneumonia and have been here for days, unable to be moved due to the wet weather. You're watching 7's afternoon news live from Perth. Coming up, new CCTV reveals the moment a luxury yacht with 7 on board sinks off Sicily. And King Charles meets the survivors of the Southport stabbing that claimed the lives of 3 young girls.
Australia's only domestic violence rehab centre.
Designed to save women's lives.
I wish I'd got help a long time ago.
7 News at 6.
You're watching 7's 4pm news live from Perth. Right now it is 19 degrees in the city and the forecast is coming up soon. New CCTV video has revealed the moment a luxury yacht sank off Sicily. The lights of the vessel can be seen slowly sinking into the water as it's lashed by a likely tornado. A body has since been found, believed to be that of Chef Ricardo Thomas. The search for the remaining 6 missing people, including a British tech magnate, is entering a 3rd day. Divers have opened up the hull 50 metres below the surface, but can't move inside because of furniture blocking the way. The process of burying the bodies of 6 hostages found dead in Gaza will start today. The Israeli military recovered the men's remains during an operation. Forensic autopsies were carried out to determine exactly how they died. America's top diplomat has ended his 9th Middle East peace mission without a ceasefire, stressing time is of the essence.
Over the coming days, we are going to do everything possible to get Hamas on board with the bridging proposal, and then to make sure that both parties work on and agree to necessary details of implementation.
Antony Blinken said the US won't accept the long-term occupation of Gaza and that the agreement clearly states IDF troops would have to leave. A 14-year-old boy has been killed in Ukraine after a Russian strike just metres from a playground. Ukrainian police say 4 other people were injured in the attack that hit a kiosk. The young victims, aged between 11 to 18. Officers evacuated everyone from the area, fearing there could be a second explosion. King Charles has met with survivors of the Southport stabbing that claimed the lives of 3 young girls. The King appeared emotional as he took in the sea of flowers and tributes. Joel Dry reports.
King Charles has paused his summer holidays to be in Southport, the scene of that horrible tragedy 3 weeks ago when 3 young girls were stabbed to death in an allegedly random attack while attending a Taylor Swift dance party. It could have been a sombre occasion today, but when the King arrived, there were warm cheers and a lot of people wanting to say thank you to the King for taking the time. He took the time to take in a lot of the floral tributes, which have continued to grow since the event. He also went indoors to the town hall. No cameras allowed, understandably, but that's where he had a chance to meet some of the survivors from the incident. Also had a chance to meet the first responders to thank them for their efforts. And we understand the King has been pretty keen to have a chance to meet the families of those 3 young girls who were sadly killed. That is expected to happen here in London. The King has invited them to Buckingham Palace tomorrow local time, where he can offer his own personal sympathies.
The world's oldest person has passed away peacefully at the age of 117. Maria Brañas was born in the United States and emigrated to Spain when she was 8 years old. She lived through 2 world wars, the Spanish Civil War, 1918 flu pandemic and the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Brañas was the 8th oldest person on record in history, attributing her longevity to no worries and no regrets. WA farmers are reeling after the Prime Minister joked about the end of live exports during an event. Here's Noel Brunning from 7 News Regional WA.
Thank you, Sam. Good afternoon. Anthony Albanese joked that during a dinner with the Indonesian president-elect, he made sure that the subject of live exports was dead. Western Australian farmers, as well as coalition politicians, say the jibe was in poor taste as they fight for the end of the practice to be overturned. Businesses in the Midwest say they're missing out on crucial customers because of potholes. Tourist numbers in Mullewa are dwindling as would-be visitors avoid the area due to the poor road conditions. And a blind golfer from the southwest is in need of a caddy ahead of his latest international competition in South Korea. Glenn Nikajewski lost his sight 25 years ago and is the top-ranked visually impaired golfer in Australia.
Still to come later in the bulletin, the $1 million upgrades to a Perth stadium as we prepare to host the country's newest and largest basketball festival. Plus the special edition Bertie Beetle bag coming to the Royal Show and the promise to West Aussies after last year's sellout debacle. But first, Ryan Daniels joins us. Ryan, good news for the Eagles.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. They've locked in a pair of young defenders for the future. Details on the talented duo's contracts next. Plus, veteran nerves, why this three-time Paralympian still gets jitters. And Sinner the Saint, the tennis star cleared of steroid use.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want when you need it. Delivered to you every minute of every day. And it's all for free, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.
The West Coast Eagles have locked in a pair of young defenders for the future, with Harry Edwards and Brady Hoff committing to the club. Edwards is signed until the end of 2027, while Hoff is now contracted till the end of 2028.
It's great to sign on with Harry, fellow backman, and I think it's a really good backline to be a part of at the moment. So I'm loving my time down there with, so many great leaders.
The young pair will have a heavy workload on Saturday. The Eagles take on Geelong without Tom Barrass and Jeremy McGovern. The Giants are riding the wave of confidence all the way to the finals. The 7 straight wins with the Orange Army have thrived in the tightest ever finals race, locking a spot in the top 4 and now in a race for second spot.
Yeah, we're just as confident as we were last year, and I suppose having been through it last year too, I think we have even more that sense of establishment and being able to perform in September.
Defender Lockie Ash was unable to overturn his one-match ban for rough conduct. He'll miss Sunday's clash with the Western Bulldogs. Next month's Women's T20 World Cup has been relocated from Bangladesh to the UAE due to civil unrest gripping the host nation. More than 400 people have been killed during weeks of student-led protests. The Big Bash signings continue, with Nick Maddinson returning to Sydney to play for the Thunder this season.
The squad that we've got is going to be really competitive. It's a good mix of some older players that have been there a little while.
Maddinson will play alongside retired Australian star David Warner. Even ahead of her 3rd Paralympics, the nerves still get the better of Australia's Lakeisha Patterson. Preparing for the Games at the Dolphins team camp in Chartres, Patterson will chase a 3rd straight 400 metres freestyle gold in Paris.
That never gets old. You still definitely get the butterflies in your stomach, but I think that's a good thing. It means that you care.
The Paralympics begin in 8 days' time. Cam Davis has ridden the emotional rollercoaster on the PGA Tour this year. The 29-year-old sneaked in to hit this weekend's 2nd FedEx Cup playoff at the BMW Championship in Denver, ranked 49 of 50. With only the top 30 going through to next week's $37 million finale, Davis knows he cannot afford any mistakes.
In some ways it's a free hit, but in other ways, there's so much still to play for. So I'm still going to go out on Thursday, try and start the week off hot.
Jason Day and Adam Scott also made the cuts. World number 1 Yannick Sinner has avoided suspension despite twice testing positive to an anabolic steroid during a tournament in March. The Australian Open champion was found to have been inadvertently contaminated with the substance during a massage from his physio. The ruling hasn't impressed everyone. Nick Kyrgios slammed the decision on social media, saying Sinner should have received a 2-year ban. That's all from me for now, Sam. Plenty more sport at 6.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Ryan. The state government has invested more than $1 million in upgrades to HBF Stadium ahead of hosting Australia's largest basketball festival. Rachel Tassica has the details.
This new basketball court has been installed here at HBF Stadium, ready for Australia's biggest basketball festival, Hoops Fest. The state government has invested $1.6 million in upgrades, making HBF Stadium now suitable for international basketball games.
Now, we know basketball is massive and growing as a sport. We see so much participation, huge demand actually out there for participation, and it is very much a sport that young people love.
Hoops Fest will run for 4 days during during the September school holidays. The festival will include 5 NBL, 8 WNBL and more than 140 under-18 games across Perth at RAC Arena, HBF Stadium, Bendat Basketball Centre. Thousands of interstate and international visitors are expected to travel to Perth for the festival.
By providing this facility here means that there will be great activity here, not only during Hoop Fest, but also, of course, in going forward.
Perth Lynx will play 3 games at the 4,000 capacity venue in the upcoming season.
You can't be what you can't see, so for all the young boys and girls to be able to see like professional female sports competing alongside like our male counterparts with the juniors there as well, and it's pretty special.
Hoops Fest will take over Perth from September 19th.
We'll return to our top stories next on 7's Afternoon News. Plus, a Victorian man's attempt to shoot his ex-wife's family. Police say it is a miracle no one was killed. And tributes flow for Sam Landsburg, the prominent sports journalist killed in a tragic accident.
7 News knows Perth.
Headlines flash by all day.
But to know the news, watch 7 News at 6 o'clock.
And here's why.
Our reporters are newsbreakers.
The man in the back of that police car was arrested right here on the side of busy Villiers Drive.
With more exclusive reports that dig deeper
and demand answers.
We commit to travel to wherever the stories happen, even the front line.
Chris Reason from Channel 7 Australia.
As international news unfolds in Europe.
We're live to you at 6 p.m.
Breaking down the global issues that matter back home in Perth. 7 News understands that
our reporters travel from suburb to suburb.
It happened at Point Walter
and across our state to bring you the news.
This show only in June.
This is the team we trust.
And thank you
for trusting 7 News.
Hello, you're watching 7's Afternoon News live from Perth. Here are the top stories. A bizarre big bang has baffled thousands of people across Perth. The mystery explosion rattled windows and shook homes across our southern suburbs. Right now, it is unclear what caused the boom. A Perth family says they're willing to sell their family home to cover the costs of bringing their son, Shane Ramsey, home after a horror crash in Bali. Public sector unions had been threatening to escalate their protests, and today they walked off the job, holding a rally in the city to make their feelings known. The state government has sent back a warning. And it was the glaring omission from last year's Perth Royal Show, but we've been promised the iconic Bertie Beetle Showbag will return better than ever. A bit of drizzle around today, but a couple of troughs and a cold front will deliver a wet end to the week. I'll have your full forecast later this hour. A bizarre big bang has baffled thousands of people across Perth. The mystery explosion rattled windows and shook homes across our southern suburbs. Rachel Tassica has the details.
Perth's southern suburbs have been rocked by a loud, mysterious bang that residents have likened to an explosion. This is what was heard around 11:20 this morning. Social media lit up with thousands of people claiming to have heard and felt the tremors. The suburbs include Waikiki, Hilbert, Mandurah, Thornley, Canning Vale, Jandakot, Lake Coogee and East Fremantle. Residents in Port Kennedy say it was so strong their whole house shook.
I thought someone was shaking an internal door. I actually thought the dog was locked in a bedroom. And then it was a mighty shake and all my internal doors shook. I was sort of thinking, what is going on? And then I just saw on social media that it had happened everywhere.
And I heard a bang and it was like the windows shook a little bit, and I referred it back to like a blast on site, and it was that kind of bang afterwards, and we thought, what's going on? And wife jumped outside, Rhonda, my wife jumped outside, and she couldn't see anything because she thought it might have been a truck or something.
It's a mystery that stumped Perth with a number of different theories. A Geoscience Australia spokeswoman confirmed it hadn't recorded any earthquakes affecting the Perth region. In 7 News tonight at 6, we'll have the latest on this mysterious bang.
A Perth family has been keeping a bedside vigil in a Bali hospital after their son had a serious scooter accident in Seminyak. Francesca Danuccio has the details.
Shane Ramsey has already undergone emergency surgery on his fractured skull to help prevent any further bleeding. He's currently in a coma in a hospital in Kuta, where he's expected to remain for a number of days to help bring down that swelling on his brain. The 30-year-old was on his way to watch a broadcast of Sunday's UFC event when his scooter struck a pole in Seminyak. He wasn't wearing a helmet. His family are now desperate to get him back home to Perth, but Shane doesn't have travel insurance. That means his family, who are by his bedside, are facing climbing medical costs. His first surgery alone cost $53,000. Each night in hospital adds another $9,000 to the bill, and a flight to bring him home could cost at least $150,000. His mother, Catherine, says she's even willing to sell their family home to help cover the costs. Premier Roger Cook has also spoken out.
Everyone who goes overseas should have travel insurance because you never know what will happen.
Shane is a carpenter who had finished his apprenticeship just 3 weeks ago and was in Bali to help celebrate a friend's wedding. A GoFundMe page has been launched to help support the family. That's already raised more than $75,000.
Hundreds of public servants have vowed to keep protesting every week until they get a better pay deal. But the state government is warning union demands could result in job cuts. Jessica Page reports.
Public sector unions had been threatening to escalate their protests, and today members of Unions WA, the CPSU and Health Services Union did walk off the job to hold a rally, making their feelings clear. They're hoping that noise will reverberate all the way here to state parliament. They're demanding a 12% pay rise over 2 years, 7% now, to make up some of the shortfall after years of high inflation, and to combat staff shortages they say are making workloads unbearable.
We are hemorrhaging staff. We are losing dedicated, professional, passionate staff in the public sector because they can't afford to work for the government any longer.
Look, we know that the offers that they're currently giving to unions at the moment are falling short. We want money in our members' pockets. We don't want to see it drag on, and I think there should be an interest from government to wrap this up as soon as they can.
I would urge the public sector workers to negotiate with the state government. It is a fair and reasonable offers on the table.
In 7 News at 6, how many workers have already quit because unions say they can't afford to stay?
A Victorian man enraged by his wife's attempts to leave him has shot at his family after tracking them down in Sydney's West. The man then shot a stranger during an attempted carjacking before turning the gun on himself.
Good afternoon. Well, senior police say it's a miracle that no one was killed when a 50-year-old man smashed into this home in Sydney's West armed with a gun. Detectives say the man travelled from Victoria to the home of his estranged wife's parents here on Antwerp Street in Auburn. His 50-year-old wife was inside with their 2 kids, a 20-year-old boy and 15-year-old girl, as well as her elderly parents. His in-laws were the gunman's target, attempting to shoot them point blank.
He's removed a handgun and pointed it at the male aged in his 70s. He's fired the firearm and it did not operate. He's then turned the handgun towards the woman aged in her 70s, and a shot was discharged inside the premises.
I heard some people were shouting, and just after that I heard the gunshot.
Thankfully, no one was hit. The shooter then left, driving 2 kilometres to Mona Street, where he attempted to carjack 2 drivers. He shot one driver in the neck with his 15-year-old daughter sitting in the front passenger seat.
The traumatic experience for his daughter that was in the car at the time, that managed to contact 000 and get support from the ambulance. She's only to be commended for her efforts.
Detectives searched the area for the gunman and moments later found his body on the banks of a creek. He'd turned his gun on himself.
Everybody have, pressures, angers. Just deal with it. It's nothing more important or valued as people's life.
The family is understandably traumatised, but relieved that everybody inside was okay.
New details have emerged about the crash that killed award-winning sports reporter Sam Landsburg. The 35-year-old was going to meet a friend for coffee when he was hit by a truck at a dangerous intersection.
The AFL and media industries have been left reeling by the death of football writer Sam Landsburg, tributes flowing after he was killed by a collision with a truck. The 35-year-old is being remembered as a star of the industry and someone who was likely to be a future leader. Fellow journos at the Herald Sun remembering someone who was such a valuable member of Melbourne's sports journalism world, someone who could cover all aspects of footy and people trusted him. A great journalist, a great supporter, our great friend, our Sam, one of the brightest young stars in Australian sports journalism. The award-winning scribe is the son of former Western Bulldogs doctor Jake Landsburg. The club among those offering their condolences today.
The Landsburg family, our love and emotions go out to Jake and Anne and the Landsburg family on the passing of Sam, and obviously in a really tragic set of circumstances.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to send my condolences to Sam Landsburg's family and his friends. Tragic news yesterday, and the industry will be lost for his loss. So, wishing everyone all the best.
The scribe died at the intersection of Church Street and Bridge Road in Richmond. The driver of the truck stopped to help and tested negative to roadside drug and alcohol tests, but allegedly refused to provide a blood sample. Regardless of the outcome of the police investigation, locals are concerned about the safety of the intersection.
It's just been dangerous for many, many years. I always stand back with the pram. It's not safe.
In the news at 6, hear from more sporting and media industry figures paying tribute to Sam Landsburg.
A Perth man is on trial accused of drugging, filming and sexually assaulting unconscious women. In total, Adam Lusk faces 100 offences against 13 women. The youngest alleged victim was 16 years old at the time. Police say the women did not know they were filmed until contacted by officers. The trial has been set down for 5 weeks. The Obamas have taken centre stage at day 2 of the Democratic Convention, telling voters not to let history repeat itself. Barack Obama brought crowds to their feet in a show of support for Vice President Kamala Harris.
Look, Kamala knows, like we do, that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how you worship, or what's in your bank account, we all deserve the opportunity to build a decent life. We don't get to change the rules, so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top.
And most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided. America's ready for a new chapter. America's ready for a better story. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris. But America can be and must be a force for good. Discouraging conflict, fighting disease, promoting human rights, protecting the planet from climate change, defending freedom, brokering peace. That's what Kamala Harris believes, and so do most Americans.
An Olympic teenage sensation has had another dream come true. We'll have the details on that next.
There's still time to sign up for this Sunday's Chevron City to Surf for Active. Register online now.
It is the Hollywood relationship spanning 2 decades and countless headlines. Now, after sealing the deal only 2 years ago, Jennifer Lopez has filed for divorce from Ben Affleck.
One of Hollywood's hottest couples calling it quits after 2 years of marriage. Jennifer Lopez filing for divorce on the anniversary of their traditional wedding ceremony. Ben and Jen's love story started in the early 2000s.
Hollywood's hottest couple.
The young stars were engaged to be married, even working together. He featured in the film clip for one of her biggest hits. But they didn't last, breaking it off before tying the knot. They spent 17 years apart, moving on with their lives and careers. Over that time, they both married other people and had families. But 3 years ago, rumours of a benefit rekindling started to swirl. It was soon official, and this time they followed through, finally exchanging vows.
Nothing is more fulfilling to me than being able to build a family
with someone who I love deeply.
This year, they starred in a documentary called The Greatest Love Story Never Told.
I've been married 4 times now.
1 year after their nuptials, rumours they were on the rocks emerged. They sold their Beverly Hills home and Lopez cancelled her world tour.
It's hardly a surprise. I mean, the speculation has gone on for months.
J-Lo filed the papers in a Los Angeles court this morning, marking the end of Bennifer 2.0. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Bottle shops are pulling a peanut butter whiskey liqueur off their shelves over an allergy risk. The Screwball products are being recalled because they could contain sesame, but there were no warnings. Consumers with an intolerance can take them back for a full refund. They were sold at national retailers. Teenage gold medalist Arissa True has been given a taste of her Olympic wish with a pet duck. The 14-year-old asked her parents for one after becoming an Olympic champion. Today, she was shown what it might be like by a Gold Coast radio team.
You want a duck, so we thought we would bring you some ducks.
Holy duck.
There's 4 ducks.
That won't be the one the skateboarding sensation takes home. It will return to the farm where she's set to collect a duckling of her own next month. The iconic Bertie Beetle Showbag will make a grand return to the Perth Royal Show this year. 70,000 are being prepared, as Nick Overall reports.
Perth's favourite Showbag is back this year for its 60th birthday, and it'll be bigger than ever. Last year, news that the iconic bug wouldn't make an appearance at the Royal Show sent shockwaves through Perth. Production delays meant the chocolate had to be rationed nationwide, leaving showgoers without their delicious treat. But this year, the Showbags have made a triumphant return and will start at $5.
It's all about the nostalgia. You know, you go to the show as a child, you remember getting that Bertie Beetle for $2 back in the day. Yes, it suffers some inflationary pressure. The cheapest Showbag is $5 now, but it's still packed full of value. You still get a great amount of Bertie Beetles in there. But everyone remembers their first Royal Show and their first Bertie Beetle, that's for sure.
Here at the Showbags factory in Malaga is where the magic happens. Preparations are currently underway with 70,000 Bertie Beetle Showbags getting sorted, packed and prepped to be transported to the show. And this year, attendees have been promised a special limited edition 60th birthday Showbag as well. We'll give you a sneak peek of what's inside in the news at 6.
And Perth 6pm News is coming up with Susanna Carr. Sue, what's on the program?
Sam, good afternoon. Tonight we've been given exclusive access to the Australian First Live-In program trying to stop domestic violence. Hear from the men who've bashed and beaten women and how this program could turn their lives around. Plus, see the footy royalty who gathered at Optus Stadium today to farewell WA great John Todd. The champions celebrated in a state memorial service. Also tonight, a monkeypox alert sent out by the WA Health Department. What you need to know. A green tick for an ambitious solar and battery project. Billionaire Mike Cannon-Brookes is backing the proposal to export energy to Singapore, but experts question its viability. And a remarkable story tonight. An Australian mother managed to shed 100 kilos in 12 months without weight loss drugs or surgery. See how she did it. All that and what caused Perth's Big Bang coming up. Sam.
Thank you, Sue. We'll see you then. There's been a game changer for accessible sports unveiled in Perth today, thanks to the generosity of Western Australians. A telethon grant has helped to transform a sea container into a portable sensory chill-out zone for people with autism and other conditions. James Carmody has been taking a look.
Good afternoon. I'm in Kalamunda at the Kickability Football Carnival, organised by the WA All Abilities Football Association. There's more than 360 students here from education support schools from all over Perth. The day is a lot of fun for everyone who comes down. They get to play a lot of footy and spend time with a lot of their friends. But there's a lot going on here. Like any carnival like this, there's all sorts of sights, smells and sounds that can at times be a bit overwhelming for anyone. But for some people, it can be great to take a little break, and that's where these containers come into play. There's dark spaces in here and all sorts of sensory items installed that can really help someone who needs it come and take a bit of a break and chill out. It might mean the difference of them having to go home early, they might be able to come in and enjoy this space and then go back and out and play more footy and enjoy the rest of the day with their friends just by finding a dark space. All of this has been designed and set up with the input of occupational therapists, and all done thanks to the generosity of Western Australians with a grant from Telethon. In 7 News at 6, we'll bring you some of the reviews from some of the students really making the most of this today.
Thank you, James. A bit of drizzle again today, but there is heavier rain coming. I'll have your forecast next.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.
Start your day in WA with Sunrise. Sunrise reporter Tina Altieri at Kings Park.
If it's happening in Perth,
security is already very tight.
You'll be the first to know.
Nick, what's happening?
There's already a substantial number of people gathered.
Sunrise with Matt Tinney on 7. Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Checking the weather now, a cloudy top of 20 degrees today with drizzle in some spots, and looking at the national forecast, cloudy and 22 in Sydney tomorrow, warm and sunny for Brisbane and a shower or two in Melbourne and Adelaide. And back to Perth, a high chance of showers tomorrow, possibly an afternoon thunderstorm, 23 degrees the top. More rain for Friday, reaching 21. A windy start to the weekend with more showers Saturday morning. That rain easing into Sunday, 20 degrees the top. Similar conditions next week, 21 degrees for next Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's Perth's 4 p.m. news. I'm Samantha Jolly. I'll be back with Sue and Ryan for 7 News at 6. The Chase Australia is next.